I would like to know if next year, if the Congress are going to take over, what is the first agenda that the Democrat is going to do to against this
Right.
regime?
No, that's a great question. So let me take a step back. The reason you see Donald Trump issuing all these executive orders,
Yeah.
because he's really bad at getting laws
Bad enough.
passed, right? Because to get a law passed, you need to have the majority of the House. You have to clear filibuster in the Senate. To get permanent change, you have to get laws passed, because any executive order that Trump issues, a new executive can reverse it, right? So if you flip the House, you're going to stop any possibility of any really bad laws passing, because the Democratic House will just stop it.
Including the executive orders?
No. So executive orders are what the president issues to affect the executive branch,
Yes.
right? But let's say the president wants to change legal immigration, right? Only way he can do that is he has to change an immigration law.
Okay.
And to do that, he needs a House of Representatives to pass a change to the immigration law, right? He can't do that through executive order. So let's say Trump says, you know what? I don't want to have any more Asian Americans come to the United States of America.
No.
He can't do that through executive order.
Yeah.
To do that, you need a change to the law.
Right.
So once the House flips, there's no possibility of any changes in the law in any area that is going to be very harmful, because the Democratic House just won't pass it, right? So we can stop, at least we can do that. We will also try to affirmatively pass laws to reverse any damage that's been done in these 2 years.
Yes.
And we'll have a lot of leverage through appropriations and funding bills. So if they, let's say, wanted, right now in their budget, they have a huge cut to health care.
Right.
And they have huge tax breaks for billionaires, right? If we gain the House, we won't do that again, and we will try to reverse some of that. So those are some of the things we would try to do if we flip the House.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we would also pass a number of measures, such as gun safety measures.
Right.
We would also try to pass, measures that affect people's civil rights and make sure we're not discriminated against. And we've got a number of bills that we believe we can pass the House. Not clear to us Donald Trump would sign those bills, but we would still pass them through the House and try to at least get them on his desk.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Yes.
I have a question. So when you talk about flip the House, right, that's a big strategy. We talk about flip the House, but if we localize it, localize to each individual, to a community, or it's localized to a community, to the city, to the state, we try to flip the House, right? We try to turn it from red to blue. What are the specific things, all of us, community leaders, what we can do? What are, resources are very limited, right? So we have to prioritize things. What do you think, what should be the, now we have 2 years, we have 4 years. What's the primary focus? We should get started. And, there's a lot of voice, a lot of things going on, right? You can do a lot of things. Resources are limited, people are limited, but if that's you, and if in your community, or you think you live in Florida, what we can do, and it's doable, not just talking, dream, but doable, what we can do as a community?
Right. So it's actually less than 2 years, right? Because
That's right.
a lot of states have early voting, right? And so it's coming sooner than you think. So clearly financial resources are helpful, but also, again, just think of your own power to affect public sentiment, right? What people are talking about, what people are hearing. By the way, I'm glad you do a newspaper, right? You can write things in a newspaper to try to educate people.
I'll be neutral.
Right. Yes, you can neutrally put out facts, right, that basically say, look, this is basically what is happening, and then people can decide for themselves how they want to, deal with that. But at least you can educate people that says, well, yeah, look, the president just leveled 10% tariffs on China. That's going to increase costs, right? It's just a fact, So, in terms of helping folks flip the house, so additional financial resources, think about helping organizations. So there are a number of nonprofit organizations, both Asian American as well as non-Asian American, that are very useful to also shaping public sentiment and fighting back in the courts. Any organization that speaks to your values, think about supporting them. It's helpful to just show up at places. So if you think your local school board or local city council is doing something really stupid, show up and say something, right? They all have oral times for people to give their oral recommendations to the city council members or school board members. So Betty's on a school board every week. They have time allotted for people from the community to come in and tell the school board things they're doing right or doing wrong. So there's lots of things you can do at the local level. And a number of them aren't even partisan, right? They're just issues that may affect you or your neighbors or your community that you feel passionate about. I would just try to speak up and show up and engage. And get people registered to vote. That's very, very helpful also.
Yeah, so, you mentioned the Florida passed the SB 264, starting Chinese from buying the real estate.
Yeah.
And then I remember in last year in the election, and then the election campaign, President Trump, repeatedly, I think, say he will sign the executive order to stopping the Chinese from buying the real estate in the federal level. In the federal level, do you think Trump can sign that kind of executive order? And also in the Congress, do you think will Congress pass a law stopping the Chinese buying the real estate in the federal level? Do you have any kind
of...
Senator Cotton has reintroduced his bill in the Senate.
Mr. Jack Wong is the scientist in the University of Miami.
Yeah.
So the president might be able to do an executive order in terms of federal properties. It's not clear to me that is a possibility. That'll probably be litigated. So I don't know enough about the constitutional power of a president to do that for properties owned by federal agencies, for example. Maybe. I'm not sure the answer is to that. Clearly, the president can't affect non-federal properties. He doesn't have that power. The China Initiative issues will pass the House, but it's got to clear a Senate filibuster. So I don't know if it passes a Senate filibuster. Yeah, so that's where we are. Yeah.
Senator Cotton has reintroduced the land bill. Are you aware of that?
It doesn't surprise me, but yeah.
So do you think the land bill will, is there any chance, passed by the Senate and also the House? Right now, because the GOP control.
You would need 7 Democrats to support it on the Senate side. I don't know if there are 7 Democrats that would. You might have a few. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes confused with the laws. It's not like over 50% they can pass it, and then some law you only need like 51%.
Yeah, it gets a little confusing. So in the House of Representatives, it's completely majority rule. So in the House of Representatives, you only need 50% plus 1, 51%.
Yeah.
In the U.S. Senate, for issues specifically related to, it's a very technical term, budget reconciliation, it's 51%.
Okay.
Everything else, you have to get 60%.
That's a difficult.
Yeah.
So I think for the land deal, probably it's very.
You would need 60%. You would need 60 senators. Yeah. Correct.
Mr. Shan?
Oh, I'm just thinking about the Florida SB 264 and SB 864 as I, talked with you about.
Yes.
These are horrible laws that passed in Florida, and many other states are following the footsteps.
Right.
Of course, these are all on the state level. What really worries us is that there's going to be a law that's going to be passed on the federal level. So we really hope that, since you are here, we're very honored to have you with us, because before this meeting, I personally did not know you at all. And I searched online and checked on your bio and everything. I realized that you actually supported, our fight against those discriminatory laws, especially under kind of initiative, right? So this is why I'm here to support you. And I just hope, I don't have questions, but I do hope that if there are such laws, such as China Initiative or other laws that are targeting Chinese people or other Asian communities, you're going to step up to support us. And we just believe that under the 14th amendment, everybody should be equal, treated equal. It doesn't matter whether you're a US citizen or you're a visitor or you're on an H-1B visa. Everybody should be treated equally. And if all the other nationals can purchase land here in Florida, in another state, Chinese shouldn't be excluded. Yeah, that's the basic rationale. That's the rights that we have. So, and thank you for coming over and listen to us. And hopefully, we'll have you always on our side if we need you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I guess it's not if we need you, when we need you. So we have to, right?
Yeah, we have to.
So it's not so related, but I got a question. You said earlier many courts has denied his executive orders. But I also heard, what if he just not following through, he just pushing through it? What the court's going to do? Because the Justice Department is just as well.
So every American president, including Donald Trump in his first term, followed all court orders. Last week at a press conference, in his first term, Donald Trump criticized judges. He's criticizing judges now. But he also just made a straight up statement that said, I always abide by court orders. So that's what the president said last week. So I don't think he's going to just ignore a court order. And if you look at what they're doing in court, I'll give you an example. There was a funding freeze. Judge halts the funding freeze. And then some people are like, hey, some of these payments are still being frozen. So they went back into court, and it turned out what the Trump administration said is, look, Mr. Judge, you halted this executive order, but there's this other executive order that had a funding freeze that you didn't halt. And the judge said, look, I meant to do both of them. But the Trump administration did not say, you, judge, have no power to do this. That was not their argument, right? So I do think they'll follow executive order, court orders. It doesn't mean they won't try to make legal arguments to escape them or to limit them or so on, but every litigant does that, right? And so, so far it appears they are following court orders. And I just want to sort of give you sort of my view on some of these laws in Florida, and thank you for your comments. So I am an American member of Congress, and I represent Americans. Now, sometimes, right, there are laws that are so xenophobic, it affects Americans who happen to be of Asian descent. So the alien land law is a great example of it. When you have a law like that, then basically it causes everyone in a real estate chain, right, from real estate agents to brokers to banks, to look at anyone with a funny sounding last Asian name to all of a sudden get higher scrutiny. And then that starts affecting Americans who happen to be Asian American. And to me, it's just unconstitutional. And so that is sort of the rationale for the bill in Congress I'm a co-author of to reverse these alien land laws.
The one thing, actually, I have no tax for a long time.
Yes.
For the OCA, and we thank you to coming forward to meeting with us and then to share your insights what's going to be working with the congressional level and on behalf of the Asian American community. But I think when you talk about the question earlier about the we have chance, the next 2 years we can flip the house size. And when you also mentioned about the federal bill by Congresswoman Judy Chu for the land bill, would that be meaning that time, would that be higher chance to be able to pass that bill, and which right now we have no hope at all?
Right. Yes, absolutely. If we flip the house.
So that's why it's so important that we need to work for the next 2
Right.
years.
Yes.
For the different, I think one question that I have a friend to ask me, why you coming to Florida
Yeah,
for the
sure.
fundraising? But I just say that because we are Asian American, we are Chinese American, you need to know surrounding us, and then we need to know you. So I think that means with high pay and other one we do, then we need to work on all the other states have possibility to flip that state. We should also to work on that to help for
Yes.
that effort, right?
Yes. And look at your allies, right? So the National Association of Realtors
Okay,
is
we have one here.
important organization in Washington, D.C. They're very opposed to these alien land laws. And so think of what folks you can partner with to sort of push back on these bills.
So the question is trying to ask is, why this time you come to Miami, Florida?
Oh, sure.
Can you give
Yeah.
us any words to the
Yeah,
Chinese
yeah.
community in Miami, Florida?
Yeah.
Because,
So first of all, it was freezing in Washington, D.C., so this weather is great, right? So one reason I came here was Parkland, with the mass shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas School. Their 7th anniversary was yesterday. And so Betty and I were with Congressman Jerry Moskowitz. There was an event to honor first responders and the 17 beautiful lives that were taken far too soon. So that was one reason I came to South Florida. I'm also a recovering computer science major, and I was the co-chair of the House Bipartisan Task Force on AI, and there was an information technology and AI conference in South Florida, so I came and spoke at that as well.
can you give some any words to the Chinese community in Florida?
Yeah. 新年快乐.
Okay, because I heard the questions because it's I have the company here, and I have a lot of employees. Some employees quit because they said the Trump gave the FBI the orders. You have to catch how many illegal immigrants every day. So that's why a lot of people. Even they flew to California. They live there because here is very dangerous. So it's the kind of they stay home or they just didn't come out. So a lot of people they didn't even go to work or something. But we just want to know if that truth they have really the numbers they have to do every day, how many. So it's what's the exact situation is the executive the order said is for the illegal immigrants.
Sure. So both Democratic and Republican administrations have been removing immigrants who don't have documentation who committed crimes. And so under the Biden administration, every week they were deporting undocumented immigrants who had committed crimes. They just didn't talk about it. The Trump administration talks about it, right, and does these raids, and they get media, and they make a big deal. But it's been happening week after week after week, year after year across administrations. So what is new is if the Trump administration does what Donald Trump says he wants to do, which is mass deportations, which would then go beyond undocumented aliens who committed crimes to just anyone who's undocumented. If he does that, that would cause enormous, not only chaos, but it would start affecting any mixed status family, right? There are families where you have an American citizen and maybe the spouse is not documented, or it will affect a lot of these industries that rely on labor where the person may or may not be documented, and that's going to drive up prices even more. The administration so far has not done that. So we'll see if they do that. Right now, they're basically doing what the Biden administration did. They're just talking about what they're doing. But as long as they just focus on undocumented aliens who have a criminal record, I don't think it'll be that disruptive. But if they go beyond that, it could be very disruptive.
So I'm hearing from many young people in different marginalized communities, Asian Americans included, who are expressing a lot of fears because of current events. And they're expressing their plans to move out of Florida or even out of the country. So I want to ask you, what would you like as young people to know, or how do we keep going under all these pressures?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
If you fail in math test, do you change the subject matter to Chinese or to English?
Let him answer.
It would matter what their status is. So if you're undocumented, then you should probably find out, if you don't already know, what your rights are. And so the ACLU has information on what your rights are. So for example, there are certain procedures that law enforcement has to follow if they're going to try to, let's say, enter someone's home to deport someone who's undocumented. And so if you're a young person who's undocumented, you should look into what your rights are. Now, if you're an American citizen, my advice is to fight back and to organize and to get involved and to raise your voice and try to change public sentiment so that we can stop some of the harmful actions that the administration is trying to do.